Hello there. Welcome to a long time ago. I'm in the Star Wars room. We're here with Martyn.
Yeah.
Finally in person.
200-mile round trip just to record this.
And the rest.
And the rest,
but yeah, it's good. We put a tweet out, didn't we? So it's been pretty successful.
Yeah, I put a tweet out the other day and just, I'd reorganised the room behind me and didn't think anything of it. Put it on the channel's Twitter account, and I mean, it didn't go viral, did it?
No,
but I mean,
it's been a more expectation, more than we expected completely. Yeah. So I think it sort of warrants talking about it a little bit now that I've been able to come in and have a proper little look around.
Yeah, picked out a few favourites.
Yeah, picked out some of yours. Yeah. So I think we should explain the shelves. Oh, this chair. I shouldn't wriggle around so much. We'll explain the shelves as you've now reorganised them. Do you remember how you had them before?
Well, I had them fairly the same as I got them now, but there's so many figures now that I've literally ran out of space. So I had to come up with a way of displaying it. So I put a tweet, something out the other day, and lots of people gave me different suggestions about how I could maximise the space. And to be honest with you, none of them really helped. A lot of them suggested that I perhaps pack them ones I don't look at as much away, and I just can't do that. I want them all on display. I mean,
there might be room for another couple of shelves in here.
Yeah. I mean,
if it does sort of expand.
I'm thinking I could drill some wood in along the top, and then some hooks, and then have another row running along the top up there. But
there's space. There is.
But
there is space for additions.
I mean, this is going to be a great podcast for people who are listening to audio.
I was going to say we're going to have to try and explain in a little bit more detail to anyone that's only listening.
Yeah.
How many do you have? Do you know?
I mean, I've got every single vintage collection figure that's come out, and certain number of variants for each figure. There are, I think, 3 that I don't have from Vintage Collection 1.0.
Yeah.
And there's none I don't have from Vintage Collection 2.0. But I didn't collect doubles from the Vintage Collection 2.0. So, for example, they've re-released some from the original 1.0, and I haven't collected any of those because, 1.0 is what you need, but I'm pretty much got most of them now. There are some variants out there, like there's certain Revenge of the Jedi cards I don't have, but they're starting to go for big money, although Bunny the prices have started to drop slightly, I think, because of the oncoming supposed recession that's coming along. So hopefully I'll be able to pick some of those up at some point. But going back to your earlier question, I've just fanned them basically on the shelves. So I can, instead of fitting 5 on a shelf, now I can fit 8 on a shelf.
Okay.
So that's worked out really well. And we put this picture out, and everyone was loving it.
Yeah,
so
it's received a lot of love.
Yeah, it has. So it's good.
If you haven't seen it yet, jump onto our Twitter. What's the handle? Do you remember?
Oh my God! Talk about under pressure.
And LTA pod. I think that's our Twitter. I think that's our Twitter.
I think I see it. I think I feel an edit coming on here.
Yeah, maybe. You actually told me a little bit of a sort of an embarrassing story about it. Do you want to?
Yeah, well,
get into that?
Yeah, no, I don't mind. I mean, as I've said before, I've collected Star Wars since I was about 5 years old.
Yeah.
And the nostalgia to me for the vintage collection is purely the fact that when you look at these cards, it reminds you of when you were a kid, because they're laid out exactly the same way. So in 2010, when this collection came out, or started to come out, I collected every single card.
Yeah.
And I had every single card,
including
the Holy Grails of Salacious Crumb and the mouse droid that came with the Revenge of the Jedi set.
The ones that we spoke about on our last podcast.
Right, yeah. 2 of the 3 left that I need to collect. and I had them all, and then they cancelled the vintage collection. I think it was in 2013, and my wife and I moved house in 2014, and although I would have had space for them in the new house, I was like, oh well, we could do with the money because we want to get some things for the new house. So I sold every single one of them, and they were all in the original Hasbro Vista cases, which you can't buy anymore.
Right.
So that would have added a lot of value to them, and I sold them for what would now be a laughable amount.
Right.
And I didn't think anything else of it. I was obviously a bit like, oh, I used to have those. That's a shame, but you need the money sometimes. You sell some stuff. It happens. Then, of course, in 2018, Hasbro said, "Oh, we're going to restart the vintage collection." So I was like, "Oh, right. Oh, well, that's fine. I used to have them, but it's okay." So, of course, they'd release a wave, and then they release another wave, and I thought, "Oh, I'll get some of those. Those are quite good. I quite like those." And of course, you get 5 or 6 on a shelf, and you're thinking, "Oh, this is great. Oh, it's such a shame I haven't got
your original collection."
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I then embarked in 2018 on recollecting every single figure again, and it's expensive because it's cost me more than I sold them for in the first place.
Yeah.
But I do love them so much. I think they display brilliantly, and as I say, as a man in his 40s, the nostalgia there is just absolutely great. And there's a real. Of course, I'm disappointed that I didn't keep them originally, but it kind of got me in the zone of going on the hunt for the figures again. So I'd go to conventions and
you get that joy almost all over again of trying to search for everything.
And getting a good deal. So in a way it helped because it revitalized my collector in me. So that was great. And as I say, I've only got 3 left to get. VC 66, 67, and 112 if anybody's got one out there. It's great. I've finally caught up now with all the Disney figures or Hasbro 2.0 figures, and
and they're still releasing them, aren't they? That as all these new series come out, there are more figures that are coming out. So you've still got loads more that you're going to be getting.
Yeah, I mean,
at some point.
I mean, I really like the Mandalorian waves that they've been bringing out. There's, it started off with a few, and I think there's something like 20 plus Mandalorian figures now.
Yeah,
and they look great on the cards because, obviously it was just Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi in the 70s and 80s on these cards. But obviously now it's nice because they added the Clone Wars back in the original collection, and then expanded universe as well.
Yeah.
But now you have the Mandalorian, you have Solo, you have Rogue One, one of our personal favorite films.
Yeah.
Book of Boba Fett and some Obi-Wans were just released, and they all look just as good on this style of card. So it's really difficult to say I'm going to stop collecting. And with Andor coming out and
there's
Ahsoka,
going to be even more amazing ones to collect.
So I'm going to eventually run out of space, and it's not too long in the future. So again, if anybody's got any ideas,
well, yeah. I mean, you've got a bit of time, I think, but
I had a box arrive this morning from Star Action Figures with another 5 in, and I wasn't expecting it. I didn't realise they were coming, and I struggled to find spaces because there's a shelf that you can't.
They're in now, are they?
I
didn't actually see you put them in. I saw you open the box. I haven't actually looked at those particular figures.
Well, there's a shelving unit here which you can't see on camera, and that holds all my classic Kenner figures.
Yeah,
and any newbies that I've received, and there's some Droids figures that came out, and Clone Wars micro series figures that came out, and that's sort of the holding shelves until I can find space to put them in the main area. But even that's starting to look full.
Yeah. Going back to the original ones, did you sell them all in bulk to one person, or did you put them out individually?
No, I actually I put them on Amazon, which was a bad move because Amazon just charge an absolute fortune in fees.
Yeah.
But someone saw that, and hopefully no one from Amazon is listening, but he sent me a private email and said, here's my mobile number, can I get in contact with you? And he contacted me via WhatsApp, and we did a deal
Yeah.
via WhatsApp and PayPal. So you know,
and I imagine you got a hell of a deal.
Oh, I mean, he's
in
sitting
grand
on
scheme of things.
Yeah, because I'm a mint on card collector, and I do have some cards that have got some dings, some creases, but not many. Most of them are all pretty spectacularly well kept, and I think all of the cards that I sold him were probably nearly all unpunched, and none of them had any nicks or
really
wear on them at all. So yeah, he's sitting on some really nice figures. But the irony is, for all I know, I could have ended up buying back some of the figures because who knows what he did with them. So you know, it's
sell them all individually and make you turn a little bit of a profit.
Yeah.
What difference does an unpunched card make then? Well, you've talked about unpunched before.
I think if you're having them graded, we talked about graded ones last week. It doesn't really make much of a difference because it doesn't affect the grade that the grading companies give them. But as a collector, and
I guess it just means it hasn't been on a shelf somewhere.
No, it hasn't been on a shelf.
So it's going to be in a little bit.
Aesthetically wise, I think it looks nicer.
Yeah.
And you could also say that it counts as a variant card. So I do collect variants, so different types of the same card, but I'm not psychotic about it. If I see one and I've got the money at the time, I'll perhaps get one.
You're not particularly going out searching for them.
No, I do like to collect the variants where the figures are different. Yeah. For example, I have a Luke Skywalker Dagobah landing in his X-Wing outfit, and one has a blue lightsaber and one has a clear lightsaber. I'll collect those because the figures are different variant. Card variants, not so much. But yeah, you do get figures. People do collect figures more. I think as a professional collector, I don't know why I said that, but as a collector, I prefer cards that haven't been punched. But of course, all collectors prefer that. So again, but that bumps the price up on the secondary market. So it depends. I mean, if for example, I need one VC112, which is the Sand Trooper on a Star Wars card, and they're quite hard to get hold of. And even harder to get hold of unpunched. Sorry. But if one came up at a good price, unpunched, I wouldn't think twice. I'd probably get that because I'm not overly bothered about getting them unpunched. If I can, I will.
If not, no bother.
No.
So I like how you know the exact numbers that you need as well.
Well, yeah, it's like telephone numbers in the old days. You just end up learning.
Remember them.
But the problem is, the less of them you need, it's easier to remember.
So if I was to say like number 15.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't have.
You wouldn't. You,
off the top
you
of my
don't know
head,
it like that. No, I just know the ones that you need. There's got to be people out there that can do
absolutely.
That. Yeah.
I am very small fish compared to some people that I've chatted with. There's a couple of other YouTube channels out there, and these guys they know a lot. And there's a lot of people on Twitter now that due to that tweet we put out, who've got a lot of followers and know a lot more. And I've had one chap on Twitter tell me the different variants you can get from a clone trooper figure, about all the different belts that he had on in different figures, and that sort of information I do take in, but I don't hold it particularly well. So I have to do a bit of research on variants and things. So it's helpful to have all these people in the community.
Definitely, really. So talk us through your shelves. Apologies to the listeners, but I want to know sort of how you've set them all out. So you said about this one's your sort of almost your holding shelf. New figures come in.
Yeah, I keep my vintage.
On where to go.
Yeah, I keep my vintage Kenners there on as well. I don't have many of those, unfortunately. They're just I say they're expensive, but they are expensive if you want to get a really nice card and a really nice bubble and a really nice figure. So a lot of mine are slightly creased. I've got a little bit of yellowing in the bubble. Figures are all good. So they stay there. I then have a shelf for the Mandalorian, Obi-Wan, the Bad Batch, and all of the new Disney series is there. The Mandalorian cards look fantastic. I then go into the prequel trilogy. So you have the Phantom Menace. I have my Clone Wars cards and Expanded Universe cards. And then Attack of the Clones, Revenge of the Sith, A New Hope, Rogue One, Empire Strikes Back, and then finishing off with Return of the Jedi.
We're going film order.
Yeah, and I squirrel away the sequel trilogy ones in the centre shelves where they're on the side because you don't need to see those.
No.
Then again, saying that, there are a few of those that are quite rare to get hold of now. So I think there's a Rey from The Last Jedi, which is quite hard to get hold of, and a Luke Skywalker from, I think it's The Last Jedi, possibly, that's quite hard to get hold of.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, I'm really proud of how it looks. I think it's sort of that thing growing up as a adolescent. I wouldn't say kid, but as an adolescent, you always dreamed that you'd have a Star Wars room, and I think I finally got that. Yeah.
It does look great. For anyone that hasn't seen it, you really should look at our Twitter account because it is cool. It's really cool. Any favourites then?
Yeah, I have. I'll just quickly grab it because, of course, I didn't have it ready. I purchased this one a couple of weeks ago now with the Holy Grails that I picked up, and it's an Ahsoka Tano. Oh, can't see that at all, but it's an Ahsoka Tano. We'll put something on the video. It's a Vintage Collection 1.0 figure, and it's it's graded as 90% gold. Yeah. Which, I think that is the second highest grade you can get, and it's quite a rare card, the 1.0. However, they did re-release it, so it's brought the value down a little bit. Oh, okay. But I don't care about value particularly. No. It's about having that card because it was so difficult to get hold of a good version of it. So that's one of my favourites. I do also like some of the new Mandalorian cards that have come out. There's an Ahsoka Tano and a Boba Fett that came out recently, and also the two figures, especially Grogu, that came with the Razor Crest. That's a great little figure. I really like that one. But if I had to probably pick favourites, they would probably be the cards that are identical and updated from the original figures that came out. I think it was the original 96 figures that came out from Kenner, from 1978 to.
I was going to say, when did it all start then? Like, do you know the history behind it all?
Yeah, I mean, Kenner were given the license for Star Wars, and no one really believed. I mean, this is all in documentaries, but no one really believed that it would be that successful, the toy line. So nobody wanted it, but a little toy company called Kenner went for it.
Sat about laughing now, aren't they?
Well, but Hasbro own them now. Right. But and I think they
keep the Kenner name on there.
They keep the Kenner name because I think Hasbro bought Kenner because Kenner actually, after Star Wars and a couple of other lines, actually really struggled and went out of business, and I think Hasbro snapped them up. Right. I'm not 100% sure on that, but something along those lines. But yeah, so they brought out toys for each of the three original trilogy movies. Then they brought out a line called Power of the Force, which was the fourth line. No, sorry, it was a tri-logo. Sorry, it was the fourth line, which was, let's see if I've got one here, which was this version, the tri-logo again. Apologies for the light. We'll put something up on the YouTube channel. Yeah. So, and then they brought out the fifth line, which was the Power of the Force line, which contains the last 17 figures that Kenner produced for Star Wars original trilogy movies. And then they did a Droids and Ewoks line. And some of those Ewoks and Droids cards now, they're more money than I could ever like pull together to buy.
When did the Droids and Ewoks start coming out? Okay. That's a different packaging. Yeah,
different packaging. I mean, it's more cartoony. Different card. And the bubbles are on the opposite side to the.
Oh, are they?
Yeah,
I hadn't noticed that. Yeah, I've got one ready to show a little bit later.
Yeah, there's one. They're on the right, whereas the original trilogy cards were all on the left. So they, I think 85, 6. I might be a little bit out there, maybe 7 for those, but they weren't as popular, obviously, and neither were the cartoons. Quite difficult to get through, to be honest with you, if you try to watch those on Disney Plus.
You're
So
gonna make me watch those, aren't you?
yeah, I think one episode we'll have an Adam watches,
Yeah.
and
Quite difficult to get through, so we're just going to put you, make you watch all of that for the podcast.
Yeah,
it's for the good of the podcast.
Yeah.
So some of them come with coins.
Yes, that was the power of the Force.
Yeah, the droids ones as well.
Yeah, the droids ones. You're right. Yeah, they did come with a coin. I think that was just kind of like an extra item to collect, because they know the psychology of people like me. You can't just buy one if there's something to come with that comes as a collectible. You must have them. So have them all.
Did they release them without the coins as well? Or are they all with coin?
Some of the, I think the Power of the Force all had their own coins. You know what? I'm struggling to remember if they released all of the Star Wars figures on Power of the Force cards from the previous lines. I think they might have done. So I think they did. So I think they all would have had coins. So basically what they're trying to do is get you to rebuy them again. But because they knew, well, exactly. I mean, it happens today, doesn't it? Yeah, it still happens today, and we still all fall for it. But, I don't think, I'm not an opener. There's collectors who like to open their figures, and that's great. And there's people that like to have a packaged one and an open one, and that's fine. But I'm a mint on card only collector, and I accidentally watched a video on YouTube the other day, and someone just ripping a card open, and it was like watching someone having
your heart break.
It did.
You die inside.
It was like the dentist drill to me, because I just, no.
They get the views though. That's why they do it.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, and that's fine.
I say when we get to 1 million subscribers, you open one of your.
Yeah, when I get to 1 million subscribers, I'll open my Canadian Yoda. Yeah, that's how confident I am.
We'll do that as a video, but only when we're at 1 million.
Yeah, but yeah. So going back, this podcast is obviously bound to be me going on a tangent, but going back to your original question, what are my favourites? I think collecting the original 96 cards. To match the original Kenner cards, and I've got a couple here. This is an original 1983 65 back Bib Fortuna. Again, absolutely terrible picture. And then this is the re-release of the same card, and obviously, the figure is completely updated, but it's so nice to see that card again, as someone who grew up with it.
And that's the difference in the backs. Sorry, again, for the people just listening, but the difference in the backs, I don't know if you want to go into it. The original 80s figures, was it 80s?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure a lot of people from my age will probably say the same, but if someone said to me, Martyn, pick out an image that represented your childhood, then the back of a Return of the Jedi card, where you have all of the figures on the back, that would be the defining image for me. So apologies again for the picture. We'll put pictures up.
I don't know why we're even putting them up to the camera, because we would just put pictures up.
Just sitting there as a really young child, I mean, just sitting there looking at the backs of these cards. And I'd ruin them all, because every figure I got, I'd get a pen out and I go, got that one crossed, got that one crossed, or I'd put a circle around it. And I mean, I had a lot of figures when I was a kid, and I don't have any of my original ones, unfortunately, anymore. But that's the defining image for me, is that card back. And of course the fronts are fantastic and they look great, but that whenever I see that, I have this pang of emotion of remembering what it was like when I was young. So
so it just basically, for anyone listening, it is just showing all the possible all the possible figures to collect in their order, what number they are. And Martyn, obviously not anymore, but he would have been going through crossing them off. And it says there's 77 on that one. Yeah,
each preceding collection that came out, because these didn't come out all at the same time for each movie. They had certain waves that came out. So, there's a 77 back card. There's I think was it 45 on Empire Strikes Back, etc. And it's just a 12 back for the original Star Wars. But the Return of the Jedi yellow backgrounds are the ones. And I'm I'm sure Hasbro aren't listening, but if they ever brought some figures out in the future, now they've got something like 260 released figures.
Wow, yeah.
You know, if they could do something similar, like that on the back of their current cards, I mean, they would just fly off the shelves probably far. In my personal opinion, they'd fly off the shelves. I'd certainly buy lots of them, and I probably would buy 2 so that I could actually, you know,
so you could cross out which ones you want.
Yeah, and then I could
relive your childhood.
Exactly, and I could take that with me around. So if any ones that I needed, I'd know. I mean, admittedly, it'd be difficult to get 260 on the back of, but they could do it in, I don't know, certain waves or certain movies. So when they brought out the Return of the Jedi card, they could show all of the Return of the Jedi figures that they've currently got out, and so on and so forth. But that
would be nice.
That would be very nice. And so but then of course, as I mentioned earlier, they've also brought out a lot of figures from the TV shows, and canon and non-canon. So you had the expanded universe cards, which were great. So you had some figures from games and comics and books and things like that. And they're carrying on that now with I think there's some figures that came out recently for Battlefront 2 and Jedi Fallen Order, and the Clone Wars micro series, which I really like those cards. I think they look really nice. So
they're really making their money off of it.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. They see people like me coming, definitely. I mean, and the prices keep going up. But there was a period about 3 months ago, I think it was, where there was a rumor going around that they were going to stop using the plastic bubbles because of, obviously, you know, trying to cut back on plastics, which, you know, makes sense. But
people want to, you know, they want that window, don't they? Especially collectors. They want to be able to see the figure.
Yeah, again, it goes back to nostalgia. That's how you remember it, so that's what you want it. But when I heard that and it looked like it was going to happen, I was going to put a halt on my collecting of the vintage collection. I was going to, well, I've done really well. I've got nearly everything. I don't need to carry on collecting.
You don't want it once it's moved to that.
But I think about a month ago, Hasbro put out a press release. I think it was a convention, possibly San Diego Comic-Con, I can't remember, that they of course weren't going to get rid of bubbles, and it's an essential part of the figure. So part of me was rejoicing that and the other, my wallet was
your wife, you mean?
No, she's really good. She has absolutely no issues with my collecting, I it's been an expensive few years, and I'm glad I've caught up, because now I can just do the pre-orders and
and it's nice to have those 2 that you don't have, because then it still means that you've still got that search. You know, you can still look out for them.
Those 2
quite fun.
It is good fun, but I mean, the chances of me getting hold of those 2 mini figures, the 2 Revenge of the Jedi figures from the San Diego Comic-Con,
just imagine the joy that you'll feel when you see those pop up one day online, and you
well,
eBay, time to start haggling.
I try my hardest not to buy from eBay, because of, obviously, understandably so, they're rare, so they're worth a bit of money. But of course, the seller has to try and make back the money that eBay are going to charge them. So it's massively inflated, the price. And they're so hard to come by that I'd love to think that one day I will be able to get them again, but I don't know if I'll ever be able to afford them.
How many there are available?
Well, it was however many they made for San Diego Comic-Con. So I'm sure there's a number online of how many they made. But for example, we'll
look for it.
There's a listing on eBay at the moment for the full set. So it's the giant Death Star and the 12 Revenge of the Jedi figures with the 2 minifigures in the center. And that's on eBay for £4,250. It's graded, but it's still £4,250. And I could never warrant paying that for a bit of card and plastic. As much as I'd want to, I couldn't do it. No.
So with those ones, you say that they come with, for instance, that one with the Death Star. You've got the other one with the Razor Crest, and there was some with the Jabba's barge.
Yes.
Do you have all of those as well?
Yeah. Well,
when you've got the actual vintage figure in these blister packs that you see behind us. Did you get the barge?
No.
Well? No.
In the Holy Grail video last week, we saw the yak face. That came with the barge, and I purchased that separately from somebody and graded.
So you do have them
I've got the figures. Yeah, the Jar Jar Binks and Carbonite, which I managed to pick 2 up in the same week. That came in a San Diego Comic-Con set, but I bought that separately. The Grogu and the Jawa that came with the Razor Crest, again, I didn't get the Razor Crest, but managed to purchase those figures separately.
Okay.
However, they do release sets like Anton Merrick's X-Wing from Rogue One, and they brought out a Cloud City Carbonite chamber that came with a Stormtrooper on a card.
Right.
Now, I've purchased those to get the cards and then sell off the actual.
So they're not worth more with that.
Well, I'm a card collector. I'm not a vehicle collector, and I mean, I can't fit vehicles in the house. So, and
you do have a couple, though, do you?
I've got one here. I've got a original box speeder bike from Return of the Jedi from 1983, but I used to have the Millennium Falcon, the Ewok Village, all vintage Kenner.
But then it starts getting a bit.
But I sold those on. But
takes up a lot more space.
But yeah, I do tend to buy the sort of the 70, 80 pound boxed vehicles that come with a carded figure, because I want the carded figure. And from previous experience, if you don't snap them up straight away, you're going to be paying a lot of money for them in the future. So I tend to say I got the Anton Merrick X-Wing a couple of years ago, a year ago, whatever it was. I'll take the figure out, pop it in a blister case, and then I'll sell the X-Wing on eBay or whatever, and I won't sell it for what I paid for it. I'll sell it at a reasonable price just to get a little bit of money back, because all I was really interested in was the card.
Right.
So yeah, I do that. But when it comes to the Razor Crest and the Katana, which was Jabba's sail barge, you're talking hundreds and hundreds of pounds. And if you don't get them straight away on the secondary market, I think Razor Crest was £350 to buy. But as soon as it came out, it was on eBay for nearly £1,000.
Blimey.
Yeah, and it's gone down a bit now, but of course there's that desperation when it first comes out. Oh, if I don't get it now, I might not get it.
So I see that.
But again, luckily I've got a good circle of collector friends now that, you know, we all look after one another. And if I've got something that they need and I don't have, or I've got doubles, I'll let them know. You know, so there's one guy particularly who I got a couple of the Holy Grails from, who I met a couple of weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, and you know, he's another new great friend that I've picked up through collecting. And you know, we're texting all the time about stuff that he's got or stuff that he's seen that I might not see.
It's a real community.
It is.
I didn't realise how big of a deal it can be.
Oh, absolutely, It's it can get a bit bitchy from time to time, like all things, but
say that. They might be listening.
Well, you know, there's one or two, but I've never had any experience of it. It's just I've heard through other people, but you know, but that's like all things in life, isn't it? You know. So yeah, it's great. It's a good thing.
So that's obviously something you're collecting, but I have noticed around the room there are other like merchandise sort of things. Is there anything you like collect in general, or is it just if something pops up that you like? Because you might have seen in the earlier videos, you got the Obi-Wan lightsaber, which is down there. And then the Darth Vader bust, which is just behind you. So like anything like that are they just things that you want to pick up? We've also got a bottle of wine from the Skywalker Ranch.
Yes, pretty cool. Skywalker Ranch Vineyard. Yeah,
but it's probably not as a limited edition.
Oh no, I picked that up at Hollywood Studios in Florida. They had a Skywalker Ranch section where you could buy all of the different wines. So I didn't buy it to drink it. I just bought it as a display piece because again, they see me coming, and it looks nice, and you know, I could pretend I went to Skywalker Ranch once.
Anyone watching knows that hasn't happened. I've just noticed you've got another lightsaber as well.
Yes, I have. That's Luke Skywalker from Return of the Jedi's lightsaber hilt, and the one over there that you can't see is Obi-Wan Kenobi from Episode 1. Again, I picked those up from Galaxy's Edge, and I really like them and I was going to collect Count Dooku's and all the other ones that they've released recently, but I have to be honest, the hilts are a lot bigger, chunkier than they actually are in the movies. And I've seen some replicas of what they actually should look like.
Yeah.
And I'm really disappointed in those now. So I'm going to stop getting those.
Yeah.
Because they're nice display pieces.
Yeah, they do, you know, they come in nice case and everything. So that's something.
But my pride and joy is I don't collect autographs, but I do have a few. I mean, I've got some going back to the mid 90s. I went to a Star Wars convention in 1994 in a little town hall, and Warwick Davies was there, and Jeremy Bullock, and Caroline Blakestone, who played the original Mon Mothma, and Bruce Bower, who played General Madine. Not General Madine, sorry, he was General Rytkin, beg your pardon, from Empire Strikes Back. And there's some other guys there but I've got all their autographs from 1994, still have all those. Oh, Dave Prowse was one, Darth Vader. But I was at Star Wars Celebration Germany in 2014, possibly 13.
Right.
And I was walking through all the stalls that they have, and there was a poster, an Empire Strikes Back poster. And again, I posted it on Twitter if you want to have a look at it. And it's an original 1980 poster that was in the Gary Kurtz library, that he kept a library of all the films he produced.
Okay.
And it was kept in his archive, it's a better word. And he let some of his archive items to be sold. And this is one of those original 1980s archive posters. But it also includes on separately Irvin Kershner's signature, the director, Gary Kurtz, the producer's signature, and George Lucas's signature. Obviously, you know, writer, producer.
Pretty special then.
Oh, it's probably the best item I've ever had. I really love it.
Yeah.
But also at that same Star Wars Celebration, Dave Filoni was there, and I believe it was coming up. It was the celebration that he announced. I remember watching. He announced the end of the Clone Wars, and he was sort of just showing us some artwork from what Rebels was going to look like. And I was lucky enough to get his autograph when I was there, and he signed this print of some of his artwork, and it's Ahsoka riding a wolf, and as we all know, Dave Filoni loves wolves.
As you know, that's actually news to me. I don't know the ins and outs. I just know Dave Filoni is like right up there at the moment.
Yeah, well,
Star Wars goes.
He created a character in the Clone Wars called Captain Wolf. I think it was. I think it was Captain Wolf. People will correct me if I'm wrong. And you know, he had wolf ears on his on his clone helmet. And you know, he's often adds wolves in some way to all of his things that he works on. And so this is we'll put up a picture later, but it's a picture of Ahsoka riding a wolf.
It is pretty amazing, I must admit. It is just up behind me, but you can't see it, so we'll put a tweet out. And
that's not the best part. Obviously, he signed it, but he also hand drew an Ahsoka on it for me. And you know, of course, back then Ahsoka was popular, but you know, now she's absolutely mega popular. And you know, I got a hand drawn picture of Ahsoka by the co-creator of the character, and it's a piece that I'll cherish forever, because Ahsoka is one in my top 5 favorite Star Wars characters. I think she's great.
Before and it is. It's just a cool poster as awesome. Well, isn't it? Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, I met him at the next Star Wars Celebration, which was in London as well, and I got another print that he'd done signed, and it was a picture of Darth Vader fighting Ahsoka in the Rebels season 2 finale, and he drew a Darth Vader picture on that. But again, I'm not a sort of collector to hoard stuff. I passed that on to a friend because of, you know, why do I need 2 Dave Filoni signed autographs?
Oh yeah.
I mean,
it's pretty amazing.
I could have kept it and you know, probably sold it for a lot of money.
You're a good friend.
I'm a good friend. Well, I didn't give it to him for free. I mean, but I didn't.
Now the truth comes out.
He wouldn't have let me give it to him for free.
No.
But the thing is,
quite a big deal. Really.
It was a big deal. But it was, I didn't charge him what you'd see, if someone tried to sell it on eBay.
No. And he'll cherish that.
Absolutely.
Well. It's not like he's going to take that and put that on eBay to make it.
No, exactly.
That's all good. All right, I think that's wrapped up pretty much everything. But if anyone wants to see anything in detail, like message, drop a comment, whatever, get in touch with us on Twitter and Instagram. And I'm sure Martyn will be happy to take a photo.
Of course.
We are still putting out a vintage collection image every day, aren't we? So,
yeah, I'm cataloguing my collection every day on Twitter and Instagram. So you'll find the links to those at the bottom of this podcast, I guess.
Yeah, I'll put them in descriptions. Yeah. Otherwise, that's it for this week.
It was good to podcast in person.
It is.
Actually, it feels much better, to be honest with you.
And I'm sure the quality will be there as well.
The
quality and all that. So yeah, that's good.
Cool.
Thanks.
Nice one. See you later.
Bye.